Forbidden Door. Forbidden Door was definitely a show to check out. I'm going to be honest. I paid $50 for this pay-per-view. $50 on Bleacher Report. I spent $50 on Double or Nothing just a couple of weeks prior. And I thought I got my money's worth, but will I say, was it the best pay-per-view that AEW offered? Not really the best. I actually thought Revolution was a much better show. Not saying that Double or Nothing was bad, because I thought it was a good show. I thought it was a pretty good show. I just felt like the show went way too long. But what about Forbidden Door? Forbidden Door was a show that everybody, that watches AEW, everybody that watches New Japan was absolutely excited for. I was excited for this show. And I'm going to tell you right now, as I've stated earlier, I'm not a watcher of New Japan. I don't watch New Japan at all. I know the big stars of New Japan, like your Okadas, your Kota Ibushis, your Evils, your Switchblade Jay White, all those guys. Hiroshi Tanahashi, who wrestled the main event of this show. But I'm not your average watcher of New Japan. I'm not. But I was still excited for this show. You have a lot of people and a lot of naysayers saying that, this show only appeals to the hardcore audience, and, it doesn't appeal to the casuals at all. It's not going to grow their audience. Well, I hate to break it to you, but that hardcore audience sold out the United Center. It sold out the United Center, plus it literally gave us probably one of the best, if not the best show of 2022. I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. This hardcore audience gave us the show of 2022, and I said the same thing for Revolution. Quite frankly, Forbidden Door absolutely topped that. I'm going to even go out on a limb and say that Forbidden Door was much better than both WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2. Yeah, I said it. I don't care what anybody says. Forbidden Door was a much better show than WrestleMania. A lot of people talk about how the build for this show was not perfect. You can say that. That can be a valid argument. But at the same time, watch WWE programming. Just watch WWE programming. Are the builds for their pay-per-views really good? Not that I know of. I'm going to be honest. The builds for WWE pay-per-views, they're not that good at all. They're just not. They're just not. And the thing about it is, a lot of people say, I literally forgot that a pay-per-view was this Sunday, but yet when that pay-per-view actually happens, WWE actually tends to knock it out of the park. They really do. They tend to knock it out of the park. Look at the last two pay-per-views that WWE had. They had WrestleMania Backlash, a show that a lot of people absolutely did not care about, but they absolutely delivered on that show. Look at Hell in a Cell. Was it better than WrestleMania Backlash? No. But it was still a really good show that absolutely delivered. Plus, it had Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes 3, in which you had Cody Rhodes wrestle with the torn pec. And it possibly gave us one of the best matches of the entire year. So, I don't want to sit here and, I don't want to hear a lot of people say that, the build wasn't good. Because this show is absolutely perfect. You could say the build wasn't good. But, in Forbidden Door's case, it was a show that a lot of people were definitely excited about. But at the same time, a lot of people, in a way, were kind of skeptical about, considering the fact that, as a lot of people say it, this show is absolutely cursed with injuries. You got CM Punk injured. We have a lot of the people from New Japan injured. I believe Tomohiro Ishii got injured. One of the people in the Dudes with Attitudes versus Bullet Club match was injured. Bryan Danielson got injured, so he couldn't wrestle Zack Sabre Jr. But literally, if you watch this show, it made you think that there were literally no injuries at all. It really made you think that way. And this show knocked it out of the park. A lot of people tend to ask themselves their question whenever they buy any type of pay-per-view, whether it's an AEW or maybe back in the day a WWE pay-per-view. I mean, let's be honest, we only pay $4 a month on Peacock for WWE. So really, that's out of the realm. But if you buy, for example, I don't watch UFC, but a UFC pay-per-view or an AEW pay-per-view, you pay $50 for that pay-per-view. Ask yourself this: did you get your money's worth? I'm gonna answer that right now. I definitely feel like I got my money's worth watching professional wrestling, as I did last night watching Forbidden Door. I just did. I definitely got my money's worth, and I literally paid the $50 a couple hours before the show even happened. And I knew that I was gonna buy it. I just didn't do it yet because I was lazy, but I still bought the pay-per-view. I bought the pay-per-view And honestly, man, I definitely felt like I got my money's worth 100%, man. Look at the card that Forbidden Door gave you. You know, if you look at the card, you know, a lot of people said it was stacked, but you had a lot of people say, oh my God, you know, this is not stacked at all. This show absolutely sucked. I don't know what show were you watching, because this show absolutely delivered 110%. Look at the card that we had. We had the opening match with Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Minoru Suzuki taking on Shoto, Eddie Kingston, and who else was in that match? Wheeler Yuta. Every single person in that match absolutely delivered. Every single person in that match absolutely delivered, and every single person in that match had their time to shine. They did. Every single person had their time to shine. Look at, I don't know, Dudes with Attitudes versus Bullet Club. You know, you had the Young Bucks partnering up with El Phantasmo, who I was not really that familiar with El Phantasmo, but from the looks of it, bro, El Phantasmo looked absolutely freaking great. He's definitely entertaining to watch. Look at the four-way for the All-Atlantic Championship. We had Miro, Malachi Black, Pac, and originally it was supposed to be Tomohiro Ishii, but Tomohiro Ishii had to pull out of the match because apparently he was injured. Again, there was a lot of injuries on this show. And someone who I had no idea who he was, Clark Connors, came in this match and basically became the entire MVP of the entire freaking match. Did he win it? No. But he still looked amazing. You know, Miro did not win the match. Malachi Black did not win the match. We saw Pac winning the match, his first championship in AEW. We had the four-way for the IWGP title, a match that, you know, was, you know, the ending was kind of sloppy, but overall I thought the match was pretty good. You know, I wouldn't necessarily say that the match was sloppy because of the fact that Adam Cole apparently did get injured, so that's why they ended the match really early. But, you know, again, it was still a match that I definitely enjoyed watching. What about Jon Moxley versus Hiroshi Tanahashi for the AEW or the interim AEW World Championship? That match definitely, absolutely delivered, 100%. Those last few moments of that Jon Moxley versus Hiroshi Tanahashi match made you feel something. It really did. It really made you feel something. And of course, we can't talk about Forbidden Door without talking about Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy. A lot of people deem Will Ospreay as one of the best, if not the best in-ring performer, in-ring wrestler in the world today. And after that match, I can't sit here and disagree with you with that. You know, a lot when Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy was first booked, honestly, you know, a lot of people were really questioning that. But those same people that were questioning that are the same people that kept on denying everything about Orange Cassidy, even though he delivered absolutely fantastic matches with guys like Chris Jericho, or let alone that triple threat match, that fantastic triple threat match that he had with both Pac and Kenny Omega last year at Double or Nothing in Daily's Place. People still denied Orange Cassidy. Well, it's safe to say that after that match, we can't deny Orange Cassidy anymore. We just can't, because Orange Cassidy is here to stay, and literally, Orange Cassidy is by far an amazing wrestler. He just is. That match that he had with Will Ospreay was by far the best match of the entire night. It just was. FTR taking on Great O'Khan and Jeff Cobb taking on Roppongi Vice. That match absolutely delivered as well. You had Dax Harwood, who literally popped his shoulder. I believe he actually popped his shoulder. Literally got sent back, but then came back in the match and literally made FTR even stronger. And FTR won the IWGP Tag Team Championships. And now they're on their way to possibly challenge the Young Bucks for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. This whole, FTR right now is on the verge, if not, I don't care what anybody says. In my opinion, FTR is by far the best tag team in the world today. It's not the Usos. It's not the Young Bucks. It's FTR. FTR is the best tag team in wrestling today. Forbidden Door was an absolutely freaking amazing show, and by far the best show of 2022 so far. It really was. For a show that had a lot of struggles when it came to the build and, the booking of everything, considering the fact that, this show had to be changed a lot, considering the fact that, we had a bunch of injuries on this show. AEW and New Japan still delivered 100%. We even, my dumbass didn't even mention Claudio. We had Claudio, a.k.a. Cesaro, be the replacement for Bryan Danielson. Claudio is the newest member of the Blackpool Combat Club. I'm speechless. Bro, the pop that you heard at the United Center, The pop that you heard at the United Center was amazing, and by far this crowd at the United Center, I don't care what anybody says. Oh, AEW can't grow their audience. Oh my God, they're never going to succeed. They're already succeeding. That same hardcore audience that you're talking shit about sold out the United Center. They sold out the United Center, and to me that's a success. I don't care what anybody says. You can call me biased. I don't give a fuck. AEW right now is again, they're the hottest company in wrestling right now. And they absolutely delivered a freaking home run last night. They did. And not only that, New Japan as well. For a lot of the talents that I haven't seen of New Japan, they absolutely delivered as well. And I'm absolutely excited for Forbidden Door 2 for next year. It's going to be freaking awesome. I'm excited. So, Forbidden Door, to put it in one word, how I thought Forbidden Door was, that one word is amazing. Forbidden Door was an amazing show. It was better than Revolution. It was better than Double or Nothing. Double or Nothing was a good show. But, again, I thought that show had matches that really should have been on a Dynamite, in my opinion. But it was still a good show. It was a really good show. Anarchy in the Arena was absolutely fantastic. But Forbidden Door was definitely the best pay-per-view of 2022, and it topped WrestleMania Backlash, it topped Hell in a Cell, and it even topped WrestleFrickin' Yeah, I'm gonna go out on them and say that it topped WrestleMania. Forbidden Door was an amazing show. I am the Broken Havoc, right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, here to give you guys my Forbidden Door 2022 review. Of course, Forbidden Door is the joint show between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. We got a lot of things to go through right here on the Forbidden Door review. So before I get on with all of this craziness, as I tend to say all the time, make sure to like and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, the Broken Havoc podcast is available on audio platforms. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. So if you guys want to check out the Broken Havoc podcast in audio format, it is available on all of those platforms. As I've stated earlier before, Forbidden Door was a fantastic show, and it was an amazing show. I don't care what anybody says. That show absolutely succeeded everybody's expectations. It just did. It not only exceeded, but it exceeded everybody's expectations. Everybody thought that this show was going to be good, and it was. I even thought, look, this show is going to be really good, because at the end of the day, I have faith in Tony Khan, because Tony Khan has been pulling banger of a banger of a banger on pay-per-view ever since All Out. Hell, ever since Double or Nothing last year, and AEW was always a great product, but definitely they do have their mishaps sometimes. I view All Out 2020 2 years ago as by far the worst pay-per-view in AEW history. A lot of people would say Revolution 2021, but I tend to disagree. But definitely All Out 2020 was definitely the worst pay-per-view in AEW history. But again, man, this pay-per-view was amazing, and I definitely feel like I got my money's worth 100%, man. I absolutely enjoyed what I watched. This show made me happy to be a wrestling fan. It really did. And, again, it's safe to say that I am definitely excited to watch Forbidden Door 2 if it happens next year. I really hope that this show happens, and this should be on the core AEW calendar every year. This show should be an annual show. And, we got a lot of things, we got a lot of news coming out of this show. We also got a Ring of Honor pay-per-view actually happening, and it's going to be happening in Lowell, Massachusetts, July 23rd. It's going to be called, of course, Death Before Dishonor. That's a Ring of Honor tradition. That's been a pay-per-view name, that they've been using for years. And even to this day, they still use Death Before Dishonor. But Death Before Dishonor is going to be happening July 23rd. And I'm definitely excited because, we got Ring of Honor back on pay-per-view once again. Of course, we had Supercard of Honor back at WrestleMania weekend. And that was an awesome-ass show. We had Bandito versus Jonathan Gresham. We had the Briscoes versus FTR. Fantastic stuff. And I'm definitely excited to see where this goes in the near future, especially with Death Before Dishonor definitely, in the near future. But let's talk about Forbidden Door. We got Forbidden Door to talk about, and we got a lot of matches on this card, man. All of this, definitely, this show again, every single match on this show definitely, had you in the edge of your seat. It really did. It definitely had you in the edge of your seat, and I was definitely really happy to see all the matches that went down. The first match of the evening was Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Minoru Suzuki taking on Shota Umino, Wheeler Yuta, and Eddie Kingston. Yes, Eddie Kingston is competing on this show. And I completely forgot to mention that, I could talk about how we had, Forbidden Door last night, but we got Blood and Guts on Wednesday. So, literally AEW is on a roll right now, and we got Blood and Guts on Wednesday, and that's going to be freaking amazing, especially with the addition of Claudio in the freaking match. That is just absolutely insane. But overall thoughts on this opening match. This match was absolutely amazing. I loved this match for what it was, man. Jericho, everybody in this match shined. A lot of people tend to say when it comes to like tag team matches, one guy tends to be overlooked than the other. I don't view it that way, but bro, everybody shined in this fucking match. Chris Jericho shined, Sammy Guevara shined, Minoru Suzuki shined. Bro, the interaction between Minoru Suzuki and Eddie Kingston, I was about to say Samoa Joe, Minoru Suzuki and Eddie Kingston were fucking fantastic. I loved it. It was great. Sammy Guevara and Wheeler Yuta, like, bro, that, Wheeler Yuta is the current Ring of Honor Pure Champion. I would love to see a pure championship match between both Sammy Guevara and Wheeler Yuta. Sammy Guevara and Wheeler Yuta, I don't care what anybody says, like, that's a damn good match. And not only that, I feel like it can be a damn good program in the near future. I don't care what anybody says. That's going to be a freaking fire-ass match, when it happens. But we in a way, we kind of got a preview of it. But I'm going to start going through the match. Yuta and Sammy Guevara start. Sammy tags in Jericho. We get repeated slaps and forearms by Wheeler Yuta. We get a couple of German suplexes by Wheeler Yuta on Jericho. At this point, the crowd is going absolutely crazy, and this is a pure example of, it basically gave you a taste what the crowd was going to be the entire night, man. The crowd went absolutely apeshit for this. Yuta then goes for a Samoan drop. We get a cover and a near fall. Then he applies the crossface submission. Then Suzuki enters the fray, and then a brawl breaks loose, and everybody fights on the outside. Shoto fights off Suzuki. Jericho and Yuta are in the ring. Sammy makes the tag. He hits a pump kick on Wheeler Yuta. At this point, Eddie Kingston enters the fray and attacks Sammy Guevara. Then we get a drop kick by Sammy on Wheeler Yuta. Yuta then goes for a slam, followed by a senton. Then we get a cover and an immediate kick out. Then Shoto makes the tag. Then he hits a drop toe hold. Or I should say Yuta goes for a drop toe hold, followed by a shotgun drop kick by Shoto. So nice double team right there by Shota Umino and Wheeler Yuta. Jericho makes the tag. He works on Shuto. Then he chops Shuto into the corner. So we get a bunch of chops at this point by Chris Jericho. Then Shoto fights back with repeated rights into the corner. Eddie Kingston makes the tag. Kingston then dares Chris Jericho to fight him. Then Suzuki makes the tag. Both exchange chops. Then at this point, man, when Suzuki and, Eddie Kingston go at it with the chops, they definitely went at it with the chops. Just even before they went for the chops, again, as I've stated earlier, as soon as, those two cross paths, everybody just was just like going ape shit. Everybody was marking the fuck out, including myself, seeing the interaction between Eddie Kingston and Minoru Suzuki. That was just fucking awesome. So at this point, we got a chop war going around. And when it comes to chops, Suzuki is like the master of the chops. Same thing as Eddie Kingston. Just watch, when I say Suzuki, just watch his match with Samoa Joe a couple of weeks ago on Dynamite. You'll see. Suzuki goes for a right hand. Suzuki then takes Kingston into the corner. Jericho then tags in and works on Kingston, driving his foot into the corner. Kingston then goes for a kick. We get repeated chops by Chris Jericho. Then he chops Sammy, taking him to the outside. At this point, Kingston gets caught into an armbar. It looked like an armbar, but it looked like Suzuki was also targeting his wrist or something like that on the ropes. Chris Jericho went for, I believe it was a flatliner. Then he works on the injured arm of Jericho. Then after that, Suzuki makes the tag. Suzuki then goes for a kick, taking out Yuta and Shoto. We get a cover by Suzuki and a near fall. Kingston then goes for a couple of chops, but then Suzuki applies the Jujigatami. Then Sammy applies applies the crossface on Yuta. Then Jericho applies the abdominal stretch on Shoto. So basically what happened here is Suzuki, Sammy, and Chris Jericho basically pulled something very similar like the BCC, where all three members of the Blackpool Combat Club would literally, apply submissions on each of their opponents all at the same time. The Jericho Appreciation Society basically did the same thing. Jericho and Suzuki work on Kingston at this point. Sammy then goes to the top, but then Kingston gets up. Then Sammy gets caught into a throw by Eddie Kingston. Then we get a back heel trip by Kingston on Guevara. At this point, Shoto makes the tag. He takes out Jericho. Sammy comes in and hits an uppercut. Then he throws him face first to the mat. We get a running sliding uppercut by Shoto. Then Suzuki makes the tag. We get repeated rights by Suzuki, but Suzuki runs into an elbow, followed by a dropkick by Shoto. Then he sends Sammy into the corner. Then Shoto goes for the Fisherman Suplex. We get a cover and a near fall when Chris Jericho interferes. Shoto then goes for a dropkick, and then we get a cannonball by Shoto onto the outside. Sammy then goes to the top and hits a shooting star press on the outside, which, bro, Sammy Guevara is fucking crazy when it comes to his shooting star presses, man. Yuta then goes for a senton over the top rope. Then Eddie Kingston comes in out of nowhere, goes for the elbow suicida. So at this point, everybody's just taking each other out on the outside. Suzuki then goes to the middle of the ring. And it looked like he was going to jump all the way to the outside. It looked like he was going to go for somewhat of a suicide dive. But basically what happened was Minoru Suzuki basically trolled everybody. That was the funniest thing ever. He trolled everybody, so he wasn't going to do it. We get an overhand chop by Suzuki on Shoto. Then Yuta sends Suzuki to the guardrail. At this point, Yuta makes the tag, and then we get a crossbody by Sammy, or I should say on Sammy. Then we get a cover and a near fall. Yuta goes for a dropkick on Jericho, and then we get a German roll-up by Yuta. Then we get a near fall as well. We get a standing Spanish fly by Sammy Guevara. Kingston then goes for the blind tag, hitting the backdrop. Then after that, Kingston applies the stretch on Sammy. Then Suzuki comes in, and then we get a spinning back fist by Eddie Kingston on Minoru Suzuki. Kingston then follows up by a German suplex. Then he goes for a drop kick, and then we get a cover by Sammy. At this point, Yuta goes for the crossbody. At this point, there was such a spot fest going on that led to everybody just being down and laying down on the mat. Like, at this point, everybody is down. Then Shoto tags in. We get a jumping knee by Sammy Guevara. Jericho then makes the tag. He applies the walls, a.k.a. the Lion Tamer, whatever you want to call it, on Shoto, but Shoto reverses. Then Jericho goes for the code breaker. We get a cover and a near fall. Jericho then goes to the top. So Jericho goes to the top. Shoto enters the fray. Shoto then picks up Jericho. He hits a power slam off the top. Yes, he hits a power slam off the top. We get a cover and a near fall when all of the heels interfere. Then Kingston comes in and takes out Suzuki. Yuta is in front. At this point, Yuta is on the outside of the ring. And Ty Conti's on the outside. Of course, Ty Conti is the girlfriend of Sammy Guevara. And basically what happens is, Yuta, Sammy also comes in. Jericho tries to go for the lion salt, and but Kingston takes him out, which was absolutely freaking one of my favorite spots of the whole match. Shoto then goes for the cover and a near fall. We had a couple of rights and lefts by Shoto. Shoto then gets hit with the bat on his back by Sammy. Then Jericho tries to hit the Judas effect, but Shoto counters into a tornado DDT. Shoto then goes for the brainbuster, followed up by a cover and a near fall. Shoto then takes Jericho for the walls. Sammy tags in. He hits a boot on Shoto, but then, Shoto does not let go. Then Suzuki takes Goto and hits a headbutt, but then Kingston comes in and he hits a chop. Suzuki then takes Kingston for the Gotch-style pile driver. At this point, all of the heels are gaining the advantage. Shoto fights off all of the heels, but then what happens is, Judas effect on Shoto by Jericho. We get a cover, and Suzuki, Sammy, and Jericho win the match. Now, the stipulation of this match was whoever wins this match gains the advantage at Blood and Guts this Wednesday, and the Jericho Appreciation Society now has the advantage. So they're going to start at Blood and Guts, and, it's going to be a real big issue, of course, in kayfabe. But overall thoughts on this opening match. What a fantastic opener to the main Forbidden Door show, in my opinion. I absolutely enjoyed it. It was probably one of the best matches of the entire night, in my opinion, man. The crowd definitely got you amped up, especially after this match. It was freaking amazing. By far, an amazing opener, an amazing match. Everybody, as I've stated earlier, every single person in this match, absolutely shined. It was amazing. Every single person shined. Now, the Jericho Appreciation Society will get the advantage. In our next bout, we got FTR versus Roppongi Vice versus Jeff Cobb versus Great-O-Khan and Great-O-Khan, not versus Great-O-Khan, my dumbass. Jeff Cobb and Great-O-Khan for both the Ring of Honor and IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. Overall thoughts on this match, man. You know, coming in, of course, you were going to think FTR were going to win the titles, and that's exactly what happened. FTR won the IWGP Tag Team Championships. It was definitely, in my opinion, the right call. I mean, it should be everybody's opinion, in my opinion. You know, FTR won the IWGP Tag titles. Where does this lead to? I see FTR targeting the AEW Tag Team Championships next. But overall thoughts on this match, man. This match was really good. You know, Roppongi Vice looked absolutely fantastic. Jeff Cobb and Great-O-Khan looked absolutely fantastic as well. Cash Wheeler, for the majority of the match, or I should say really in the middle near the end of the match, was on his own, considering the fact that I believe Dax Harwood popped his shoulder and he actually was sent backstage, but then actually came back and continued to wrestle the match. So it really shows you the guts of Dax Harwood. But, you know, just by that alone, it really, you know, showed you the courage of not only just Dax Harwood, but it really showed you the courage of Cash Wheeler. And definitely this whole thing solidified them as one of the best tag teams in wrestling. I don't care what anybody says. FTR is by far the best tag team in wrestling. It's not the Usos. It's not the Young Bucks. It ain't the Good Brothers. It ain't the Viking Raiders. No, it's freaking FTR. All right, it's FTR. But the match starts. Trent Beretta and Dax Harwood start. Both lock up. We get a side headlock by Dax, followed by a shoulder tackle. We get a side headlock takeover. We get a bunch of side headlock takeover reversals by both. At this point, Jeff Cobb makes the tag. Both lock up. We get a chop by Dax in the corner. Cobb then takes Dax in the corner, and then he proceeds to hit an uppercut. Cobb goes for the shoulder tackle. At this point, Rocky Romero is the legal man. Dax takes him down, but then Cash Wheeler makes the tag. Cash goes for a headbutt, followed by an uppercut, followed by a chop. Then Dax drops the elbow. We get a cover by Dax and a near fall. Dax then looks like he injured himself. Again, it looked like he popped his shoulder. So at this point, Cash is the legal man, and Rocky works on Cash. We get a Hurricane Rana by Cash, and then at this point, Dax actually gets taken back by the doctors, and he gets taken backstage. So at this point, you know, it caused a lot of worry within a lot of fans, including myself. I was like, oh my God, another injury. I'm so freaking afraid now. I was definitely freaking out. I was like, dude, could you imagine, like, if Dax Harwood gets injured, bro, this is absolutely going to suck. But thankfully, he came back. But Dax Harwood, he was taken out for a short period of time. Rocky works on Cash. Then he goes for the Hurricane Rana. Then Dax gets taken to the back. Oh, I should say, Cobb works on Cash. My apologies. He takes Cash back in the ring. Khan works on Cash, but then Great-O-Khan, man, this guy is wild. If you guys look at his Instagram, this guy is freaking wild as hell, bro. Like, this guy was at the Heart Attack Grill a couple of weeks ago in Vegas. Like, this guy is absolutely savage. Go look at his Instagram and just find out. This guy shoved his ass on the back of Cash on the top rope. It looked really, really nasty, bro. Cobb then tags in. We get a clothesline by Cobb, but then Cobb steps on Cash. Then after that, he sends Cash into the corner. Cobb then goes for the spinning slam. Khan then makes the tag. He works on Cash, and then Cash eventually pulls the ponytail of Great-O-Khan. Then Trent makes the tag. We get repeated chops by Trent, and then he goes for the half and half on Great-O-Khan. At this point, he goes for it looked like a hip attack in the corner. Cobb makes the tag, and he hits a body shot. Trent then tries to go for a swinging DDT, but then Cobb counters into a suplex. Then Trent runs into a boot. Then Rocky Romero comes in and goes for an immediate Hurricane Rana. At this point, everybody is on the outside. So then what happens is, Khan drops Rocky onto the steel steps. We get a couple of chops by Trent on Great-O-Khan. Then Cobb picks up Trent. Rocky then drives the knee on Cobb, and then Trent proceeds to spear the Great-O-Khan. Rocky then goes to the top, and then he goes for the shotgun dropkick after that. And then after that, he goes for the sliding knee strike. We get a cover and a near fall. At this point, Khan proceeds to hit a backdrop, and then Khan tags in. He takes out Khan and Cobb. Then at this point, we get a bunch of repeated chops. Then after that, Cobb and Khan take Cash and plant Cash to the mat. At this point, Khan pushes Rocky to the outside. Then what happens is Dax Harwood eventually comes back. He makes the tag. Dax works on Khan and Cobb. Then Khan by accident takes out Jeff Cobb. So both like basically knock into each other. And then we got multiple clotheslines taking out Great O'Khan. We get repeated German suplexes by Dax Harwood. Then Cobb goes to the top and then Dax comes up. Trent then enters the fray. Both take Cobb, but then Cash comes in. Then FTR eventually manage to hit the Powerplex. So they hit the Powerplex and we get a cover and a near fall. Then Dax and Trent fight each other off. Khan comes in. He hits a boot on Trent, but then Khan takes Cash to the top. Rocky then drives the arm of Khan onto the rope. Cash and Rocky Romero then hit the spike pile driver. Then after that, Rocky hits the cutter on Cash. We get a double knee by Roppongi Vice on Jeff Cobb. Rocky at this point goes for the crossbody onto the outside. Then Cobb counters Trent and powerbombs him. At this point, Khan flattens Dax. Then we get a clothesline by Cobb, followed by a standing moonsault. Then Khan, drops Trent. We get a double team attempt by Cobb and Khan taking out Trent. We get a cover and a near fall. At this point, Cobb picks up Trent, but then Rocky goes for the blind tag. Khan then gets slid to the outside. Then Rocky Romero goes for the one and only suicide dive. Then we get a kick by Rocky, and then Roppongi Vice goes for the strong zero. Then after that, we get a cover and a near fall when Cash comes back for the immediate save. At this point, Dax Harwood tags in. Rocky then goes for the roll through on Dax, and we get a near fall. Then we get an inside cradle by Rocky Romero and a near fall. We get a bridge by Rocky. Dax once again kicks out. Rocky then works on the injured arm of Dax. Then he proceeds to hit an enziguri, but then Cash Wheeler comes in out of nowhere, which will lead to FTR hitting the one and only Big Rig. We get a cover, and FTR retains the Ring of Honor Tag Team titles, but win the IWGP Tag Team Championships. Overall thoughts on this match. This was an amazing-ass match. I loved this match for what it was. It was freaking awesome. I had a blast watching this match. I loved the fact that, Dax Harwood came back because, look, bro, it literally scared me for a bit. I literally thought like not Cash Wheeler, bro. This whole light is literally like knocking down. It's not even funny. It's crazy. It's literally killing me. What the hell is this? Oh my God, whatever. I'll fix it later. But let's talk about the match. We got FTR, man. FTR is by far the best tag team in the world today. Don't at me. I don't care. FTR is by far the best tag team in the world, period. And I absolutely love that. I love to say that considering the fact that these guys absolutely earned everything that they got. They earned everything that they deserved, and they're freaking, now, not only the AAA Tag Team Champions, not only the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, but now the IWGP Tag Team Champions. So that is great to see. And next up on their bucket list is going to be the AEW Tag Titles. All right. In our next match, we got Miro versus Pac versus Malachi Black versus who originally was supposed to be Tomohiro Ishii, but apparently got injured and was replaced by Clark Connors. Now, keep in mind, I am not that familiar with Clark Connors. I am not that familiar with him at all. Again, I do not watch New Japan, but from what I saw, literally Clark Connors was like literally the best thing of the entire match. Like everybody brought in their A game on this match. But bro, Clark Connors was fucking awesome. He was amazing in this match. He was getting his ass beat in the beginning portions of this match. He was really getting his ass beat. If you really think about it, he was getting his ass beat. But he always constantly came back to try to like get a piece of either a Pac or Miro or Malachi Black. He was really getting beat to shit by either Malachi Black or Miro. But, of course, this Fatal 4-Way match is for the brand new AEW All-Atlantic Championship. Of course, that is the new championship that was introduced by AEW. And a lot of people were questioning, AEW has too many championships. But apparently this was a Warner Media Discovery, not Warner Brothers Discovery decision. Like, they wanted another championship, so that's why they introduced the All Atlantic title. And it was so funny because if you watch the commercial for Dynamite, the voiceover for every one of those commercials for Dynamite, they mixed in All Atlantic with Mid Atlantic, which is absolutely hilarious. If you guys do not know Mid Atlantic, I'm not really that familiar with it, but it was an old wrestling territory. I believe it used to air on TBS as well back in the 80s. So because Crockett aired in Crockett aired throughout the entirety of the 80s and even before the 80s. So, but again, it was so funny funny how, the voiceover confused All Atlantic with Mid Atlantic. That was hilarious. But what are my thoughts on this All Atlantic Championship match, man? This match was absolutely freaking awesome. I absolutely loved this match. Of course, Pac ended up getting the win, after a couple of, damn, this stupid ass light. Jesus Christ. Let me try to fix this. I'm literally filming right now, and this whole light is literally driving me absolutely crazy. I gotta get new light strips. Jesus Christ. Alright, whatever. There we go. Hopefully, if it falls, whatever. Screw it. But hopefully, it stays there. I don't want it to frickin' fall. It's falling off right now. Oh, man. Technical difficulties on a Forbidden Door review. That's really the norm. That's really the norm, ladies and gentlemen. But let's talk about this Fatal 4-Way match, man. This Fatal 4-Way match was absolutely fantastic. Pac goes after the match starts. Pac immediately goes after Malachi Black, and then Pac then proceeds to clothesline Black onto the outside. Black then fights back with a couple of kicks onto the outside. Clark Connors tries to work on Miro, but then Miro instantly gains the advantage. And there, I can't tell you enough, but there were so many crossbody attempts on Miro that all of those attempts, Miro just ended up catching, whoever tried to do a crossbody on him. That was literally the funniest thing ever. Miro then throws Connors to the corner. We get repeated chops by Connors, but then Miro hits a slam. We get repeated rights by Miro. Then we get a crossbody by Connors, caught by Miro as well. Connors then escapes and hits the pounce, taking Miro to the outside. Then he tries to go for the crossbody onto the outside, but then once again gets caught by Miro and then gets slammed to the floor. At this point, Malachi Black is in the ring. Then he runs into a kick by Pac. Then he goes to the top, but then Black runs into a kick by Pac once again. Black then goes to the top, but then Pac fights back with the headbutt. We get a sunset flip powerbomb attempt by Pac. Malachi Black then escapes, but then we get a couple of kicks by Malachi on Miro. Miro then goes for the right hand. Black then goes for the moonsault. Connors then tags in. We runs into a knee strike by Malachi Black. Black then applies the knee bar on Clark Connors after that. So then what happens is Miro then pulls the hair of Clark Connors onto the outside. Then he sends him to the guardrail. We get a running hip attack by Miro. Miro then runs into a boot by Pac, but then Pac goes for the springboard crossbody. But once again, Miro catches a crossbody. This time it was by Pac. Then Miro hits a follow-away slam on Pac. Then after that, Connors comes back and hits repeated rights on Miro. Miro then no-sells it. He gets caught by Miro and then gets planted. Then after that, Miro goes for the cover and we get a near fall. He sends Connors into the corner. Miro then goes for a clothesline on Connors. We get a furious lariat by Miro on Connors. Then Miro goes for a slam. Then we get a cover once again and a near fall. Malachi Black and Miro face off, and then they go for repeated stomps on Pac. Then Black pushes Miro. Miro then goes for the elbow drop. Again, Miro and Black face off, so I love the chemistry right there during that match. Both take Pac. Miro then lets go. Then both face off once again. Both fight it out, and then we get an uppercut by Miro. Pac at this point is on the apron. Miro then runs into Pac. We get a follow-away slam by Miro on Pac once again. Man, bro, how many times has Miro caught somebody and hit a freaking follow-away slam? Jesus Christ. So after that, we get a cover into near fall. Pac gets up. Miro then runs into a thrust kick by Pac. Connors then comes in and gets thrown out by Pac. Pac then goes for the somersault into the outside, taking out Malachi Black. Then after that, he hits a kick on Clark Connors. Pac then goes for the shotgun dropkick. Then he goes for the German suplex. Then Pac runs into a knee. We got a German suplex by Clark Connors, but then he takes Miro, but escapes. Black then goes for the big boot. Then we get a cover by Miro and a 1 count. Then after that, Black takes out the table. So he takes out a table, which you heard a large scream by the crowd. Everybody was marking out just because of the fact that Malachi Black brought out table. So then after that, he sets the table onto the guardrail. He tries to send Miro to the table, but then Miro fights back. Miro then hits Black onto the steel steps. Then what happens is Pac goes for the crossbody, but then gets caught by Miro. Then Pac escapes, sending Miro to the ring post. Then after that, Connors spears Miro through the table out of nowhere. At this point, Black is in the ring, but then Connors fights off Black. I was about to say Jeff Cobb. Then we get a couple of clotheslines and a power slam by Connors. Then Pac comes in. We get a spinning kick by Pac. He runs into a spear on Connors. Then after that, he plants Pac to the mat. We get a cover on near fall. He tries to pick up Pac, but then Pac escapes. Then after that, Pac hits a kick on Connors. Then after that, Pac goes to the top, but then Black comes in. Black then comes to the top, but then we get Connors ends up coming in. Miro then comes in. At this point, there's a whole freaking Tower of Doom into the corner. Miro then takes Connors and Black to the outside. Miro then sets up Pac. He goes for the pump kick, and he applies the game over submission on Pac. Pac then tries to escape, but then Miro drags Pac back. Black then goes for hit, while Miro has the submission applied on Pac. You really thought Pac was just going to fade. And, Pac was one of my favorites to win this match, and he ended up winning the match. But, at this point, I literally thought, holy crap, it was over. Miro's going to get the win. But that was not the case. So what happened after that was Malachi Black came in out of nowhere, and he spit the black mist on Miro. Then after that, he hits the black mask. But then all of a sudden, Clark Connors comes in. Black then applies the cross arm breaker on Connors. Pac goes to the top. He goes for the 450 splash, and then he applies the brutalizer on Clark Connors, which would lead to Clark Connors to tap out, and Pac is the new AEW All-Atlantic champion, and, this is his first championship in AEW, and honestly, man, that is great to see, considering the fact that, Pac has been in AEW since the inception of the entire company, and now he's definitely, has the All-Atlantic Championship, and he's going to do a lot of great things with the title. Overall thoughts on this match, man. This Fatal 4-Way was absolutely fantastic. I absolutely loved this Fatal 4-Way for what it was. It was freaking awesome to see, and overall, man, I'm happy for Pac, and it's great to see Pac holding a championship in AEW, because a lot of people were constantly saying, bro, when is Pac gonna win a championship? Because he didn't win any championship ever since AEW started. So it's great to see him winning and being the first All-Atlantic champion. And a lot of the matches that we're possibly going to be getting out of Pac is going to be freaking insane as well. All right, in our next bout, we got Sting, Darby Allin, and Shingo Takagi versus the Young Bucks and El Phantasmo. Of course, the Young Bucks are going to have one night only. They're going to be a part of Bullet Club for one night only. Of course, these were former Bullet Club members, but they're going to be a part of Bullet Club for one night only. Overall thoughts on this match, man. Bro, Sting was freaking amazing. Sting was freaking amazing. His entrance alone literally made this match. Again, his entrance alone literally made this match for what it was. It was freaking amazing. And not only that, someone like El Phantasmo, I haven't, again, El Phantasmo is somebody that I haven't seen at all. And bruh, this guy, man, was super good in the ring. But not only that, he was absolutely freaking entertaining as hell. He was definitely freaking entertaining as hell. And I loved the chemistry that Sting has with the Young Bucks as well. And, of course, the interaction with Darby Allin as well, because Darby Allin was also a part of this match as well. But overall thoughts on this match, man. Again, this match was a freaking masterpiece. I absolutely loved this match for what it was. So let's start with the match. So Sting and not Sting, Darby Allin and Shingo Takagi make their entrances, right? And Sting is nowhere to be found. And for a second, I actually thought that, oh my God, the Young Bucks and, Hikuleo and El Phantasmo attacked Sting. But that was actually not the case. So what happened was, so the Young Bucks and El Phantasmo make their entrance. And they're still on the stage. But what happens? The lights freaking go out, and what happens? Sting is on the top of the freaking, I believe it was the tunnel, and literally he dives off and he dives on the Bucks and El Phantasmo, which was an absolutely fantastic entrance, which leads to a whole brawl breaking loose. And then once everybody gets in the ring, the match starts. So we get a shoulder tackle by Shingo. He hits a suplex on El Phantasmo, but then both, Shingo and Sting go for the double shoulder tackle and a double elbow drop, so that was great to see that. Then they go for a double senton. Then Darby tags in. We had a couple of knees by El Phantasmo. Darby then tries to work on El Phantasmo, but then Nick tags in. At this point, the Bucks are gaining the advantage, but then we get a dropkick by Matt, followed by senton by Nick on Darby onto the outside. Darby is in the ring. At this point, Matt Jackson is the legal man. He proceeds to eye poke Darby Allin. Nick then tags in. The Bucks then go for the double team on Darby Allin. El Phantasmo makes the tag, but then the Bucks have Darby. El Phantasmo goes for the Dermis Destroyer, which is basically like him, rolling across the ring and basically scratching the back of somebody like furiously, which looked absolutely hilarious. Matt makes the tag, and Matt basically does the same thing, and he does it on Darby as well. Darby then gets, at this point, he's getting beat to shit. Then Phantasmo makes the tag. He takes Darby to the top and sets him upside down. We get a triple dropkick by the heels by both Matt and Nick and El Phantasmo on Darby. But then Phantasmo is on the top and hits a German from being upside down. Hikuleo then proceeds to interfere and attacks Sting. Darby then goes for the Code Red attempt, but then actually manages to counter. So it looked like, when Darby actually tried to hit the Code Red, I believe it was a situation where El Phantasmo actually held onto it, but Darby still managed to hit that Code Red. But at this point, the hot tag is made. Shingo takes out both Bucks. We get a back elbow by Nick Jackson. Goes for this. He hits the twisting snap suplex. After that, we get a cover into near fall. Nick then goes for the super kick, and then we get a spinning kick by Nick. Shingo then fires back with the Death Valley driver. Then Sting tags in. He takes out both Bucks, but then Phantasmo comes in. At this point, Sting no-sells. So he does his famous no-selling. Then Phantasmo twists the nipples of Sting, which is hilarious. Then Sting goes for a stinger splash on Matt and Phantasmo, but then Nick comes in, and he is actually in front of Matt Jackson into the corner, which would then lead to Sting hitting the stinger splash on both of the Young Bucks as well. Then after that, he applies the Scorpion Deathlock on Matt. Then after that, Hikuleo enters the fight, but then Phantasmo hits the low blow without the referee looking, considering the fact that the referee was distracted by Hikuleo. Then after that, what happens is Darby goes for the stunner, but then the Bucks go for a super kick party. But what happens when they hit the super kick on Sting is Sting no-sold his super kicks, and he went freaking crazy. Darby makes the tag. He goes up to the top, but then Matt gets the knees up from the coffin drop. Nick goes to the top, but then we get a bang for your buck by the Bucks. Then we get a Thunder Kiss 86 by El Phantasmo. We get a cover and a near fall, but then the Bucks go for the suicide dive. Then Phantasmo is up top. He walks on the ropes for a beautiful moonsault. Sting is in the ring, but then runs into a triple super kick. Then the Bucks take Sting. Sting hits. So what happens is it looked like the Bucks were going to go for the BTE trigger, but Sting actually ducked and avoided the BTE trigger. Then after that, what happened was so what happens is Sting takes the Bucks for the double Scorpion Death Drop. Phantasmo's in the ring. Sting walks out. Then after that, Sting twists the nipples of El Phantasmo, which is hilarious. Then Sting goes for the low blow on El Phantasmo to basically get revenge. Then Darby makes the tag. Darby goes for the coffin drop on Hikuleo. At this point, Shingo is the legal man. He fights off El Phantasmo. He hits a furious lariat on El Phantasmo. We get a cover and a near fall, and then he hits the last of the dragon. We get a cover. Sting, Darby Allin, and Shingo Takagi win the match. Overall thoughts on this match, man. Sting is absolutely crazy for his age, but you know what? I freaking love it. I love every single bit of it, man. Just Sting, hitting that dive off the top of from what it looked like it was the tunnel. Bro, Sting is one savage dude. Even at his age, man, this guy is absolutely insane. But you know what? We're all wrestling fans. We all love Sting, man. Sting is absolutely one of my favorites. And, bro, he looked amazing in this match. And, the chemistry that he had with El Phantasmo with the whole twisting of the nipples thing was hilarious. Sting basically no-selling the super kick party as well. That was freaking awesome. Again, I loved the chemistry that Sting and the Bucks had, when it came to, just the viewer watching everything. It was amazing. So what happens is Shoto from the opening match was backstage, and the Jericho Appreciation Society come in. So Matt Menard and Angelo Parker come in, and Jericho comes in and he says that he has earned his respect. But what happens is Jericho blows a fireball on Shoto. Basically the heels are still being the heels, and that's really what the Jericho Appreciation Society is all about, and they are prepping for Wednesday's Blood and Guts, which is absolutely insane. It's going to be an insane match, man, especially with the addition of Claudio. All right. We got Thunder Rosa versus Toni Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship. Before I get on with this match, of course, make sure to like and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. And of course, the Broken Havoc podcast is available on audio platforms. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. So if you guys want to check out the Broken Havoc podcast in audio format, it is available on all of those platforms. All right, let's talk about Thunder Rosa versus Toni Storm. Literally my voice is shot right now, man. This is literally 15 minutes into the review, man. My voice is absolutely shot, but I'm still giving you guys this review. But we got Thunder Rosa versus Toni Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship. Overall thoughts on this match, man. This match was really good. I definitely thought that, Thunder Rosa definitely pushed Toni Storm pushed Thunder Rosa to the limit. It was a great match overall. Of course, Thunder Rosa got the win. I did not see at all Thunder Rosa, losing the match at all. I think right now it's way too early for Thunder Rosa to drop the AEW Women's title. So it's great to see that Thunder Rosa did retain the championship. But Toni Storm looked absolutely great in this match. Both women shake hands, both proceed to lock up. We get a side headlock takeover by Rosa. We get a waist lock by Rosa once again. Rosa then works on the arm of Toni Storm. Then she proceeds to go for the roll-up. Then after that, Storm goes for a roll-up again. We get a roll-up by Storm. We get a near fall. So a bunch of roll-up attempts. We get a right hand by Rosa. Then we get a chop. Storm goes for the boot. Then after that, we get a cover and an immediate kick out. Storm goes immediately for the snap suplex. We get another cover and a near fall. Then she tries to go for a suplex, but then Rosa counters into an inside cradle. And then we get a near fall. We get a couple of slap exchanges by both. Both then exchange chops, which means rights or a couple of elbows. Then after that, but we get a couple of chop exchanges by both. We get a leaping stunner by Rosa. We get a running clothesline into the corner. And after that, followed by her driving her knees into the corner. Then after that, we get a drop kick to the back of Storm. Then a drop kick to the chest of Toni Storm after that. Rosa then proceeds to go for the Northern Light suplex. At this point, Rosa goes for the roll-up, and we get a near fall. Rosa then hits the stomp on Storm. We get a cover and a near fall. Rosa then is in control. Then Rosa goes to the outside, and she tries to go for the tornado DDT. But then Rosa counters into the Northern Light suplex onto the outside. Storm then gets back into the ring, but then Storm takes Rosa to the outside. Storm goes to the top, but then Rosa hits the uppercut. Then after that, Storm picks up Rosa, or I should say Rosa picks up Storm. My apologies, I messed up my notes right there. But Storm escapes. Storm goes for the German suplex on Thunder Rosa, but then she proceeds to hit the tornado DDT on Rosa onto the floor, which I believe she tried to do that earlier on in the match as well. So Storm takes Rosa back in the ring. At this point, Rosa is in the corner. Storm goes for the hip attack, followed by a tornado DDT. We get a cover by Storm and a near fall. Storm then proceeds to go for the uppercut. Then after that, she tries to go for the Storm Zero, but Rosa counters. Then she goes for the running knee, but then she picks up Storm. Then she proceeds to go for the Death Valley Driver, which she eventually succeeds in doing. Then she takes Storm for the Fire Thunder Driver, and we get a cover by Rosa and an actual kick out. Then after that, Rosa goes for repeated kicks to the back of Storm. Rosa then tries to go for a kick, but then Storm catches her and hits a German suplex. Then she takes Rosa for the Storm Zero, but then Rosa regains the advantage. Rosa then hits the Final Reckoning, but then we get a cover by Rosa, and she retains the AEW Women's Championship, which was definitely expected, in my opinion. I mean, I don't think anybody thought that Thunder Rosa was going to drop the AEW Women's Championship. I mean, Thunder Rosa definitely, not Thunder Rosa, Toni Storm can be a definitely good contender for her, for Thunder Rosa to drop the title, but I feel like the most logical person to really take that title from Thunder Rosa is 100% Jade Cargill. But, yeah, man, overall thoughts on the match. It was a great match, and you definitely saw, Toni Storm definitely pushing Thunder Rosa to the limit. And by far, one of Thunder Rosa's best matches as the women's champion so far. You know, the Serena Deeb match was really good, but also I thought this match was pretty good as well. So Jim Ross comes out because he's gonna be ready to call a freaking slobber knocker, by God, of a match between Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy, man. You know, as I've stated right at the top of this review, a lot of people were doubting that, you know, oh my God, you know, a lot of people think Will Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world, but he's going to be wrestling Orange Cassidy. What a joke. Well, those same people that are calling this match a joke clearly need to watch this match, because this match was absolutely freaking no joke. This match in general was by far the best match of the entire freaking night. This match was by far the best match of the entire night, period. This match was amazing. Will Ospreay, like, you know, Will Ospreay is absolutely fantastic. He's by far one of the best, if not the best in-ring wrestlers in the world today, period. He is. He really is. And, you know, just watch his match with Dax Harwood on Dynamite. Just watch. It was amazing. But this match with Orange Cassidy, bro, was freaking insane. There were times in this match where I was like, oh my God, it's over, but it wasn't over. You know, a lot of people always tend to complain about, oh, you know, constantly false, you know, a lot of kickouts on a constant basis, you know, doesn't draw. I don't give a shit if it draws, man. I fucking love it. I love that shit. I mean, of course it's important that it draws, but really this whole pay-per-view was a whole draw, clearly, because it sold out the United Center. And yes, I will show that on a constant basis, because you have a lot of people constantly talk shit about, oh, this show is not going to be a success. This show is an absolute failure, especially with all the injuries. But yet AEW they definitely knocked it out of the park. And this match was no different. This match was no different. So all these E-drones, yes, I'm going to call them E-drones, all these E-drones that are pissed off, I don't know what to tell you. This match was freaking amazing. By far one of the best matches. This was not only the best match of the entire pay-per-view, but this is literally one of this will possibly go down as by far one of the best matches of the entire year. You know, and I stated, like, you know, Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania was like a match of the year candidate. This is definitely in match of the year contention. This really is. And I can't see why people can disagree with that. This, you know, it really is. But we got, you know, another match that can be possible match of the year candidates is like FTR versus the Briscoes or FTR versus the Young Bucks. But, like, bro, this match absolutely knocked it out of the park. It really did. So we got Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy for the IWGP US title. Cassidy puts his hands in his pockets, as he always does. We got a shoulder tackle by Cassidy. Then Will stares up, and then we get a takedown by Will Ospreay. Cassidy stands up. We get Will stands up. We get a takedown by Will, and then Cassidy stands up. We get a spinning head scissors by Cassidy, taking Ospreay down to the outside. Cassidy then mocks Will Ospreay after that, which was hilarious. Like, you know, in the beginning, you know, Cassidy constantly mocked Will Ospreay throughout the entirety of this match. But, bro, like, the way he did it was just mad funny. Will comes back and he drops Cassidy. He proceeds to hit a boot. Cassidy then goes to the outside, but then Ospreay goes for a running kick on Cassidy, or I should say a running drop kick onto the guardrail with the help of Aussie Open. Of course, that is Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis. Cassidy then gets taken back in the ring. We get a chop by Ospreay. Then Ospreay sends Cassidy to the corner. Ospreay then takes Cassidy with the spinning backbreaker. Then after that, we get a cover by Will Ospreay into near fall. At this point, Will is in control. He sends once again Cassidy into the corner. We get a cover and a near fall. Ospreay then applies the abdominal stretch, followed by a flip. He applies the abdominal stretch, and he flips off all of the fans on the hard cam, which was hilarious. So then after that, Cassidy proceeds to fight back. He takes Will head first onto the turnbuckle. Cassidy then goes to the top for a crossbody. Will then throws Cassidy down to the mat. Ospreay then takes Cassidy out, which will then lead to Will Ospreay going to the top. He goes for the diving elbow to the back of Cassidy. At this point, he goes for repeated punt kicks. It looked like to the face of Cassidy. Then Cassidy puts his hands in his pockets, and then Ospreay then goes for the right hand. He runs into a drop kick by Cassidy after that. After that, we get, Cassidy gets up. Cassidy goes for his amazing kicks, and what I mean by amazing kicks, which was awesome. Then Will goes for a right hand. Then we get a super kick by Cassidy. Cassidy goes for those koala kicks as well. We get a back heel kick by Will Ospreay. Then Ospreay misses the springboard cutter. Then after that, we get a roll-up by Cassidy, and we get a near fall. Cassidy then goes for the Stunt Dog Millionaire, followed by a Michinoku Driver. Cassidy then runs onto the second rope, but then gets caught by Ospreay, which will then lead to him hitting a DDT. Then Will Ospreay, or I should say Cassidy, goes for the suicide dive. Then at this point, Aussie Open interferes. Cassidy then takes out Aussie Open, but then Cassidy goes to the top. He drops Will with the DDT. Cassidy runs into a Spanish fly by Will Ospreay. Ospreay then takes Cassidy up on his shoulders, but then Will hits a thrust kick onto the face of Cassidy. Will then goes to the top. He goes for repeated rights and goes for repeated elbows as well. Cassidy then pushes Will headfirst onto the ring post camera. We get a back elbow by Will Ospreay. Cassidy then lays down. So Cassidy lays down, right? And he basically tries to, trick the referee. He basically pulled an Eddie Guerrero. And what happened was, it looked like, I think it was a situation, because I don't have it in my notes, but Ospreay hit a moonsault, and then did a running shooting star on Cassidy, which Cassidy actually got caught with. So Cassidy actually tried to pull a friggin' Eddie Guerrero, but then eventually got caught by Will Ospreay, which was by far the best moment of the entire freaking match. I don't care what anybody says. That was amazing. So we get a roll-up by Cassidy. Cassidy then ends up hitting the beach break. So, even though he got caught by Ospreay, Cassidy actually managed to counter back, and he ended up hitting the beach break. We get a cover engineer fall. He runs into a cutter, but then Will proceeds to hit the Os cutter. We get a cover engineer fall. At this point, he misses an elbow, that being Ospreay. Then he picks up Cassidy for the Stormbreaker, but Cassidy hits the Hurricane Rana. We get a cover engineer fall. Then he goes for a running lariat on Ospreay, and then he goes for the running elbow. And then we get a cover engineer fall. Ospreay then goes for the Stormbreaker and cover, and Will Ospreay retains the IWGP United States Championship. Overall thoughts on this show? This whole match. Bro, I'm speechless. This whole match was by far the best match of the entire night. Period. Bar none. This will go down possibly as maybe one of my top 5 matches of the entire year. I'm literally gonna be because my plan is I'm gonna list my top 30 matches by the end of this year, and one of those matches that are gonna be on that list is definitely this match right here that we just saw last night between Orange Cassidy and Will Ospreay for the U.S. title. Amazing match, freaking amazing, but it's not over. Aussie Open then proceeds to attack the Cassidy, but then Best Friends come in for the save. But what happens? Shibata comes out. Shibata, who's a huge name in New Japan, who I'm not really that familiar with. I've seen a couple of clips of him, but I'm not really that familiar with. But he got a huge ass standing ovation by the crowd. He proceeds to fight up Ospreay, and then he hits the pump kick, and he basically takes out everybody. And then he faces off with Orange Cassidy, and then what happens is Cassidy actually puts the glasses on Shibata, which is hilarious. But, everything here, man, was just flat out awesome, man. I absolutely loved it. This was definitely the highlight of the entire show. This whole match between Ospreay and Orange Cassidy, man. A fantastic-ass match. But we're not even done yet. We got 3 matches left on this show, and we're going to be going fast, man. I'm already an hour and 3 minutes just talking about this show. But we got Zack Sabre Jr. Originally, the original match was supposed to be Zack Sabre Jr. versus the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, but that ended up not being the case, considering the fact that Bryan Danielson got injured, and on Dynamite, Bryan Danielson even stated that the bad news is I'm not cleared to compete at Forbidden Door, or I'm not cleared to compete at Blood and Guts. So that sucked, but his replacement was by far, man, amazing. His pick, man, was none other than frickin' fucking Claudio. Yes, Claudio, a.k.a. Cesaro, is now not only that, he is the newest member of the Blackpool Combat Club. I'm speechless, man. The pop that this guy got, the pop that Claudio got, it was huge, man. Everybody at the United Center just went apeshit for this man. And, I can't blame them, man. I marked the fuck out when Claudio came out. Literally, I was on a Twitter space reacting with other people, and honestly, man, you had Claudio come out And Jesus Christ, man, I marked the hell out. It was freaking amazing. But his match with Zack Sabre Jr., man, was freaking awesome. A very, very, very technical wrestling match, very technical wrestling match overall. He actually ended up going for the Cesaro swing, or I should say the Claudio swing. And he actually did it. He did that at the end of the night as well. But overall, man, that was freaking awesome to see. But the match starts. Before I even get into the match, it's going to be freaking insane to see Claudio as part of Blood and Guts this Wednesday as well, man. Like, bro, yes, the Jericho Appreciation Society got the advantage, but it really doesn't matter because of the fact that we all know that Claudio is going to be in the match, and it's already official. He's in the match. But, dude, the things that Claudio is possibly going to do inside that War Games cage, dude, man, that's going to be something to see, man. He's going to put on a freaking amazing performance in that match on Wednesday. But let's talk about his match with Zack Sabre Jr. Again, this match was very technical. It just was. It was a very technical match, but a very good technical match. Like Zack Sabre Jr., a lot of people consider Zack Sabre Jr. to be one of the best technical wrestlers in the world today. And after this match, I'm going to have to agree, man. This guy can, as I've stated, I think I've stated this in the beginning of the review. I clearly forgot. But, I've stated this before, but, Zack Sabre Jr. takes the word perfection and he basically just solidifies it. That's how good Zack Sabre Jr. is. But overall, man, this match was absolutely fantastic. So the match starts. Claudio immediately goes straight for the attack, and the crowd is definitely behind Claudio. Of course, this is his first match in an AEW ring. But Claudio goes for the running uppercut, and then he takes Zack Sabre Jr. and actually ends up instantly hitting the fucking neutralizer. So he hits the neutralizer, and then we get a cover and another near fall. Could you imagine if that was over, bro? He basically buried Zack Sabre Jr. like that. Nah, that would be something WWE would do, but again, that would be insane. But Zack goes to the outside, and then he sends Zack to the guardrail. We get a running uppercut by Claudio onto the guardrail. By Claudio, I should say. Zack Sabre Jr. is in the ring. We get an uppercut by Zack, but then at this point, Zack is on the apron. And then after that, he works on the arm of Claudio. Claudio then picks up Zack Sabre Jr. He hits a delayed vertical suplex. We get a cover and a near fall. Claudio then tries to go for a boot, but then Zack Sabre Jr. applies the knee bar from the ropes. Claudio then proceeds to pick up Zack Sabre Jr., but then Sabre escapes. Then after that, Zack applies the arm bar and then stomps the arm of Claudio, which is freaking awesome. We get a couple of kicks by Zack Sabre Jr. onto the back of Claudio. Claudio then goes for the uppercut. If you guys know Cesaro, Cesaro is really known for his freaking uppercuts. So we get an uppercut by Cesaro, or I should say Claudio. He runs into the post. Then Zack regains control. He hits a stomp on Claudio. We get a cover by Zack and a near fall. Zack then proceeds to twist the foot of Claudio, and then he goes for an uppercut of his own. Claudio then proceeds to hit a backbreaker, and then we get a running uppercut by Claudio. We get a cover and a near fall. He proceeds to pick up Zack Sabre Jr., but then Zack targets the face of Cesaro. Then after that, he applies the Juji Gatami. Then Claudio picks him up, but then both get taken to the outside. Zack then still has the submission applied. Claudio then picks him up, but then Claudio walks the steps with Zack up. So he basically holds Zack up, and he was walking up the steps, so he basically shows off all the strength that he has. Cesaro is one of the strongest men alive, period. He throws him into the ring, and then Claudio tries to go for the swing, but then Zack applies the guillotine. So Claudio takes him to the top. Claudio then gets Sabre, but then Sabre applies the abdominal stretch onto the top. We get an uppercut by Zack Sabre Jr., Then Claudio gets down, but then comes back with an uppercut of his own. Claudio then takes Sabre to the gut-wrench slam. Then we get an uppercut once again by Claudio. He tries to go for the swing, but then Sabre retreats. We had a couple of uppercuts by Claudio, but then Sabre fights back with another uppercut as well. And then after that, Claudio hits the uppercut, and then we get a cover and a near fall. Claudio then takes him down for the one and only swing. If you guys haven't seen Cesaro in WWE, of course, I mean, you guys should have. But Claudio, he goes for the Cesaro swing, and dude, I mean, it was freaking amazing. But, Claudio, going for the swing, man, whenever he did it in WWE all the time, you constantly saw Kevin Dunn, the producer backstage, constantly switch the camera, switch the camera, constantly. But thankfully that wasn't the case. So Claudio then takes, so he goes for the swing, but then Claudio gets taken down. He tries to apply the sharpshooter, but then Claudio applies the sharpshooter, but then Zach counters into a submission of his own. Claudio then transitions into the sharpshooter, but then he goes for the double stomp. We get a cover and a near fall, and then we get an uppercut by Zack Sabre Jr., and then he goes for the jumping uppercut after that. We get an uppercut once again by Claudio. We get a backslide attempt by Claudio, but then Claudio tries to get him up. Zach then applies the sleeper, and then he goes for the submission. Claudio then gets his foot onto the rope. Then we get a couple of yes kicks by Zack Sabre Jr. Claudio then catches him with the uppercut, followed by a lariat. And then he goes for the European clutch by Zach. We get a near fall. We get a pump-up uppercut by Claudio. And then we get a spinning lariat by Claudio, which then he would lead to hitting the powerbomb. And we get a cover. And Claudio wins his first match in AEW from a huge, crazy reception. Not reception, but like a huge standing ovation by the entire crowd at United Center. It was great. It's great to see Claudio as part of AEW, man. And not only that, as part of the Blackpool Combat Club. I think him being a part with Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, and William Regal is probably the best thing to happen to the group, because all the things that Claudio is able to do as part of the group, dude, there's no telling where this fucking faction can go to, because like right now the Blackpool Combat Club is like my favorite thing of AEW in general. It just is, but it's just freaking awesome. In our next match, so we got 2 more matches left on the card. We got the Fatal 4-Way match for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. We got Jay White versus Adam Cole versus Hangman Page versus Kazuchika Okada, of course, for the IWGP title. Jay White is defending his title. Overall thoughts on this match. I really enjoyed the match for what it was. It was a great match overall. But really, of course, the match ended really randomly. If you guys do not recall, Adam Cole looked like he got knocked out like crazy, which led to the match being basically ending quickly, which will lead to Jay White actually pinning Adam Cole and retaining the IWGP title, which made total sense for Jay White to retain it. I mean, he just won it 2 weeks ago at Dominion against Okada, so it would make no sense for Jay White to drop that IWGP title. It would not even make any sense for Hangman Page to win it, or it wouldn't make any sense for Adam Cole to win it. It just wouldn't make any sense whatsoever at all. But the match starts. We get a standing ovation by the crowd. Jay White then goes to the outside. Cole then goes to the outside as well. Then both Okada and Hangman, basically shake hands. Cole then slides Hangman out. Jay White comes back in, but then both Okada and Hangman go for the double back elbow on Jay White. Jay then is on the outside facing Adam Cole. Then he goes for both go for the double team. So basically Adam Cole and Jay White are basically teaming up together. And if you guys haven't watched Dynamite for the past couple of weeks, you could definitely see, it's just they were constantly, on a constant, what the hell's going on?
Where's the vacuum?
So guys, my sister's literally been right in front of me of like the entire time, and she's been doing this on a constant basis, trying to ignore her, but whatever. What do you want?
Where's the vacuum charger?
That's what you wanted for a vacuum charger? What? A vacuum charger? What? The vacuum charger? I mean, check there.
It's not there. That's why I'm asking.
I don't know. I do not know. My apologies, everybody. Hey, look. We had the light technical difficulties on this review. Now we got my sister right here. She should come over here. Come over here and not come over here. Why not? Oh my God, that's what she wanted. That's what she wanted, bro. That's the funniest thing ever. Cause like she constantly was waving at me while I was giving you guys my, I was trying to rush through it so I could finish it, but I couldn't resist. So, you know what? Screw it. Let's have it on the review. Shit happens. It is what it is. But that was pretty funny. That's kind of like I should say a nice blooper. I should clip that. I really should clip that. But that was hilarious. But again, throughout the entirety of the match, let's get back to the match. Throughout the entirety of the entire match, you had Adam Cole and Jay White teaming up together. Same thing as Okada with Hangman. They're kind of like aligned. And a lot of people were even thinking like this match was going to end up being a tag team match, which I actually did not think. I did not know why that was going to be the case, but that was just absolutely dumb in my opinion. But, again, they were going for the double team. Hangman and Okada go to the outside. Cole then sends Hangman back in the ring. We get a suicide dive by Hangman. Okada then takes Jay, but then Jay White escapes and then sends him to the apron. He hits the front suplex onto the apron, but then Cole is crawling onto the stage. Tries to powerbomb Cole, but then Jay White comes in out of nowhere. Then Jay and Cole pick up Paige for the delayed vertical suplex onto the stage. Cole then goes for repeated rights to the back in the ring on Okada. Cole then goes for the swinging neck breaker. Then he takes Okada for Jay and to hit a chop. We get a second chop by Jay White. He sends Okada into the corner. Then White goes for the chop and he tries to send Hangman to the steps, but then Hangman reverses and White gets sent to the steel steps. After that, Okada then tries to work on Hangman, but then Jay White and Adam Cole attack Okada. Hangman then comes back, but then both send Hangman to the steps. We get a jumping lariat by Jay White. We get a fall-away slam by Hangman on Adam Cole. We get a crossbody by Hangman on Jay White. Then he goes to the top for a jumping lariat on Adam Cole. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a chop by Hangman on Cole into the corner. Hangman then continues with a couple of chops. Jay White then comes back, but then Hangman goes to the top. Then he proceeds to hit a moonsault, but Hangman counters into the super kick. Then after that, Okada comes back, but then Jay and Cole are also in the ring. Okada then fights off all of the heels, but then the heels gain the advantage. Okada then goes for the back elbow, followed by a face plant on Jay White. At this point, Adam Cole is on the top, but then Okada goes for the standing dropkick, knocking Cole onto the outside. Okada then pushes Jay White to the guardrail, and then he goes for the running boot. Then he sends Cole after that to the guardrail as well. Okada then goes for the crossbody. Then after that, Okada applies the modified wrist lock. Later on, what happens is Jay White and Adam Cole looks like they're working together. But then after that, during that, we get a super kick by Hangman on Hangman by Adam Cole. Both Cole and Jay White go for the 2-sweep, but what happens? Adam Cole immediately goes for the backstabber, and then they follow by he follows it with the Ushigoroshi. We get a cover into near fall. Cole then tries to go for the boom, but then Jay White hits the Uranagi. Then Jay takes Cole, but then Cole fights back. Later on, Jay counters the Dragon Suplex, and then he goes for Okada, but then Hangman enters the fray, and then he hits it on Okada. Then after that, Adam Cole goes for the boom. Then after that, Hangman goes for the Discus Lariat. All four men get up. The heels then hit a right hand. The baby faces then fight back. Both exchange shots, but then both heels poke the eyes of the babyface. Both Cole and Jay exchange shots. Okada then sends Cole into the corner, but then Hangman hits a right. Then we get a forearm by Adam Cole, or I should say on Adam Cole. He hits a power bomb on Jay White. Hangman goes to the apron, but then Cole grabs the boot of Hangman. Hangman then goes to the top, and then he hits a moonsault on Cole and Okada. Then Hangman hits a right. Hangman goes for the boot, but then he misses the buckshot lariat. So many times, Hangman actually tried to go for the buckshot, but then eventually missed. But Cole later on in the match, to go a little quicker here, we got a German by Hangman followed by a discus lariat. Hangman then is on the apron. Then Cole takes Hangman and sends him to the post. Then Cole goes for a super kick on Okada, and then he tries to go for the Panama Sunrise, but then Okada counters into the air raid clash. Okada then slams Adam Cole, but then he goes to the top. He proceeds to hit an elbow drop, but then he tries to go for the Rainmaker, but then Hangman Page tries to go for the buckshot at the same time, but then misses. Okada then tries to go for the Rainmaker on Hangman, but then Cole hits a series of super kicks. We get a super kick on Okada. Then we get a cover by Cole into near fall. At this point, Okada hits a drop kick. Then Okada tries to go for the Rainmaker, but then misses it. Then Cole hits an Enziguri, followed by a super kick, but then Hangman is on the apron, but then Cole goes for the super kick. Okada then goes for the drop kick, and then he goes for the Michinoku driver. He misses the Rainmaker. Jay White enters the fray. He hits the Blade Runner, and then Jay White comes in and covers Cole out of nowhere, and Jay White retains the IWGP Heavyweight title. Overall thoughts on this match, great match overall. I loved, the chemistry. Was this my favorite match of the entire night? No. And again, my apologies for that little interruption right there, but hey, stuff happens in a review. It is what it is. No, not a big deal at all. But overall, what are my thoughts on this match? Definitely a good match, but of course it ended, I wouldn't necessarily say it ended early, but, it ended randomly out of nowhere because of an injury that Adam Cole sustained. Apparently, it was a concussion that Adam Cole got, but hopefully, Adam Cole gets that sorted out because of the fact that, again, there's so many injuries right now in wrestling, and, hopefully Adam Cole doesn't get injured on a permanent basis. So definitely overall great match, and Jay White retains the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Jon Moxley versus Hiroshi Tanahashi in our main event of the evening for the interim AEW World Championship. Overall thoughts on this match. Great match overall. I definitely enjoyed the match. Those last few moments of the entire match really made this match what it is. Throughout the entirety of the match, Jon Moxley and Hiroshi Tanahashi they had fantastic chemistry. Not only that, Jon Moxley has been wanting Tanahashi for a long ass time. So you could tell how excited you could tell by looking at his face, like, dude, I'm going to wrestle Tanahashi to the limit. And he definitely did. He definitely wrestled Tanahashi to the limit. But, let's go quick because, I got to go upload this video real quick. But both lock up. We get a couple of waist lock exchanges. We get a wrist lock by Moxley. Tanahashi goes for the side headlock. Both lock up, and then we get a side headlock by Tanahashi. We get a back elbow by Tanahashi followed by a crossbody. Both face off, but then Moxley flips him off. So he gives him the middle finger, which looked hilarious. Then both exchange shots and elbows. We get a drop kick to the knee of Moxley. Tanahashi goes for the dragon screw, and then after that, he proceeds to work on the knee of Mox. Moxley then goes for the cutter. Both exchange shots. Then we get a bunch of chop exchanges by both. Moxley then sends Tanahashi into the corner. Then after that, Tanahashi goes to the top. Moxley goes to the top as well, but then Mox goes for a double underhook suplex. Then after that, Moxley then hits the pile driver. Then we get a cover and a near fall. At this point, Moxley is in control. Moxley then goes, kicks the head in of Tanahashi, so that's a little page out of the playbook of Bryan Danielson. Moxley then applies the cloverleaf submission, but then he transitions it into the STF. Then after that, Tanahashi goes to the bottom rope. Both then exchange shots after that. We get a running forearm by Tanahashi, but then Tanahashi slams Mox. Then after that, we get a cover into near fall. Mox then takes Tanahashi, but then Tanahashi rolls back onto using the ropes. Moxley then clotheslines Tanahashi onto the outside, but then he sends him to the guardrail, which would then lead him to drive him to the timekeeper's table. Tanahashi then comes back at the count of 9. It's like, for the past couple of weeks, I've seen not only on, I wouldn't necessarily say, no, I hadn't seen it on AEW, but I've seen it so many times on WWE TV where a wrestler is literally staying outside and then literally coming back in the ring at the count of 9. It's been happening on a constant basis for some reason. I don't know why. But we get a kick to the chest of Tanahashi by Moxley. Tanahashi wants basically more punishment. Tanahashi then catches the knee for the dragon screw, but then Moxley counters into the Juji Gatami. Then Tanahashi goes for the repeated stomps on Moxley. Tanahashi then ends up going for the sling blade. Then at this point, Moxley is busted open. He's been busted wide open, by God. Then Tanahashi goes to the top and proceeds to hit a crossbody on Moxley. Moxley then takes Tanahashi for the paradigm shift, but Tanahashi counters. Moxley then counters with the released German. Then he hits a paradigm shift. We get a cover and a near fall. Moxley then goes for repeated elbows. Tanahashi then counters into the paradigm shift with the headbutt. Tanahashi goes to the top and then proceeds to hit the frog splash. Then he goes to the top and he goes for the second frog splash. We get a cover and a near fall. Moxley then applies the bulldog choke. Moxley then proceeds to go for the headbutt after that. Then we get a roll-up jackknife cover by Tanahashi and we get a near fall. Then after that, Moxley applies the choke. We get a roll-up by Tanahashi, but we get a near fall. Both then exchange shots. Tanahashi then runs into the King Kong Lariat. We get a cover and a 1 count. Moxley then goes for repeated elbows, but then he applies the choke. At this point, the crowd is up on their feet. So when Moxley applies the bulldog choke, and what happens is you literally thought that Tanahashi was going to fade, but actually did not, ended up not happening. So we get go ace chance. And after that, Tanahashi gets up. Moxley then proceeds to hit the Death Rider, a.k.a. the Paradigm Shift. The Death Rider, of course, is the name of his New Japan theme song, but also the name of the Paradigm Shift when he is in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So he hits the Paradigm Shift, and we get a cover. Moxley wins the match, and Jon Moxley is the new interim AEW World Champion. Overall thoughts, this was a fantastic main event to close Forbidden Door, in my opinion. I absolutely loved this match for what it was. Tanahashi was fantastic. Moxley was absolutely fantastic. Again, as I've stated right at the top of this review, that went almost an hour and a half now. This match, those last few moments of the match, when Moxley applied the Bulldog choke, you literally thought that it was over. Not only that whole moment right there, in my opinion at least, made you feel. It really did make you feel. And overall, this match was definitely amazing. Hats off to Tanahashi. Hats off to Moxley. Moxley is now the AEW Interim World Champion. Where does this lead to? Of course, the money match right now is Jon Moxley versus CM Punk. My prediction, and this is my prediction, that this is going to lead to Jon Moxley versus CM Punk, most likely at All Out. All Out, I believe, will be taking place September 4th. There is actually a banner up at the United Center for All Out to be taking place September 4th, and I believe it's going to be taking place at the United Center as well. Definitely, if Punk is able to come back after his foot injury, because he underwent successful surgery a couple weeks ago. If Punk is able to come back from his injury, definitely the best decision right now is to book Punk versus Moxley in a unification match for the AEW World Title. Right there, that match itself, Moxley versus Punk, is 100% a money match. But after that, Daniel Garcia and Chris Jericho come in, of course. We got blood and guts on Wednesday, and then brawl breaks loose. Kingston comes in. Then he goes after Jericho. Wheeler Yuta and Santana and Ortiz come out, and then the rest of the Jericho Appreciation Society comes out. Claudio, and this is the interesting part, Claudio comes out, and he makes the save, right? We get a pump-up uppercut on Jericho. William Regal then comes out. Claudio goes for the swing on Angelo Parker, which he went for the swing this time, because when he went for the swing in his match against Zack Sabre Jr., I believe one of his arms gave out. I believe that was the thing about it. But again, we got Claudio going to swing on Angelo Parker, but really the highlight of that entire feud, or I should say the entire brawl that ended the show, was Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston, if you guys do not know, and I talked about this briefly on the predictions that I made for Forbidden Door, Eddie Kingston and Claudio do not like each other. Like, I believe there's actual legit, like, real-life hatred between the two. And, Kingston's face looked really bad. And I'm not going to go out on a limb, but, like, I feel like that whole real-life issue right there is definitely, you can turn that shit into a storyline. I feel like that you can make money off of that shit. Like, you got Eddie Kingston, who, in a way has some disdain for Bryan Danielson. If you guys watched Anarchy in the Arena, you can tell what happened, especially near the end of that match. And, Bryan Danielson shows Claudio, what the hell is going to happen at Blood and Guts? That's the interesting question, so we're going to have to wait and see, but definitely keep in mind for that. But overall thoughts on Forbidden Door, man. Forbidden Door was an amazing freaking show. I loved this show for what it was. It was an amazing show. I definitely got my $50 worth 100%. I loved it. It was an amazing show. All the New Japan guys that were available did fantastic. El Phantasmo, Clark Connors, Tanahashi, Okada. Everybody did absolutely fantastic as well. Will Ospreay is literally the best wrestler in the world, wrestling against Orange Cassidy. Fantastic as well. This show was basically perfection. If I were to sum up Forbidden Door in one word, it's the word perfection. That's what this show was. It was perfection. But that was my Forbidden Door 2022 review. Overall thoughts on this show. This show is absolutely freaking amazing. I absolutely enjoyed this show for what it was. Amazing show. I absolutely loved it. And this show is by far better than WrestleMania 38 and basically all the other WWE pay-per-views that happened this year. This is definitely the best pay-per-view of the entire year. But yeah, guys, that was my AEW / New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door review. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below. push that bell for notifications and be on the lookout for more videos right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the freaking referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. And as always, it is Broken Havoc signing out.